Now, I call this pest control. The minute that this woman gets ready to set out on pilgrimage, what happens? The neighbors show up. Okay, 2 neighbors. Mrs. Timorous. I skipped over Mr. Timorous, who is the father of this woman in book 1 because of time. But he was running away from the porter's house when the lions are chained up because he's afraid. Mr. Timorous. He didn't want the trouble that comes with being a Christian. The very thing we're talking about. So this time, the daughter comes over to be the good neighbor and say to her, "You're not going to do this, are you?" And watch what she says to her. She says to her, "It's madness." Look down a little bit. "You run yourself purposefully into difficulties, lions, Apollyon, shadow of death, valley of humiliation, Vanity Fair, doubting castle, and giant despair. The rest." Think about that. She's trying to persuade her to stay in the city of destruction the same way Christiana tried to get her husband to stay in the city of destruction. She brings up the children. You're going to subject them to all this. You know what's going to happen. Look what happened to him. You know his story. Why would you do this? And she says back here, "Nothing will help me except going on pilgrimage. Nothing will help me." The Christian life is a pilgrimage, and nothing else will matter to this woman. And she's about to do it. And I'm asking you to think this through. Have we forgotten how radical it is to pack up and go on pilgrimage? I think I forget that sometimes. It gets to be comfortable. Once in a while, believe it or not, Charles, people actually like me. When they do, it's kind of a trap sometimes. You know, I'm not sure that it's ever benefited me. I've always benefited a lot more from people who were sort of critical. I don't know if that's a weakness in me, but I do think that you have to be careful. I know Spurgeon once said there was no greater temptation than tranquility. Think about it. No greater temptation than tranquility. When you have periods of peace in your life, does it call you, do you say to yourself, now's the time to pick up my sword and go out and look for a fight with the world, the flesh, and the devil? Or do you just luxuriate? Human beings like tranquility. Now, you have some wise men telling you there's not, right? This is a life of affliction, but now God gives you a little rest, and guess what happens? It's detrimental to you. What you really need is thunderstorms every hour, right? Where you're crying out to Him and you're reliant on Him. The good news is what's bad news for you most of the time, and it is for me, right? Failure drives me to my knees. What happens when you have success? I'll tell you what you do. This is the kind of prayer you give. "Oh, Lord, I'm so grateful for what you've done." And what I really mean is working alongside of me. Get out of here. The Lord finally gives me some peace, and I just use it in the wrong way. It happens all the time. Charles can use more scars, not fewer. They're badges of honor in heaven. Remember, there's only the audience member that counts is him. Charles answers to him. Not, you do it in some form to everybody who you're shepherding, or the elders or the deacons or whatever, but never forget, Charles is called on to forsake all others when it comes to answering his call. It's a special call. We don't say that because it's normal. It's special. And Charles is equipped for it. And, you know, like I say, I don't want to embarrass him, but Charles is a really good pastor. If you haven't figured that out, you're not paying attention. I know a lot of really bad pastors that I'd be happy to swap you for, Charles for. Guys who think they're called and aren't. Charles is the opposite. Now, that ought to be hard on Charles in the way that it's weighty. He doesn't have a choice. He has an obligation to be a pastor. Why? God called him and God equipped him. Now, what comes after that's between Charles and God. I can't stop that. Now, you and I can help, but don't mistake it. Charles is under personal obligation. And when she married him, guess what happened? She didn't get to be 45 feet away from Charles. She gets to suffer with him. You think pastors' wives don't suffer? Goodness gracious. Okay? If the devil's not busy, somebody's busy doing it, I can tell you that. So you understand, but there's a reward for a faithful pastor, right? But he's obligated. And I want you to think about our obligation.